Welcome to the Endurance Balance. I'm Coach J.W. McKenna. Joining me are Coach Alicia Phillips and Coach Ann Sharkey. Together, we break down the 80-20 philosophy through the lens of real life. Our goal is simple, to help you fit the training into the chaos. Let's get into today's episode. Welcome back to the Endurance Balance. I'm Coach J.W. Joining me at the table are coaches Alicia and Ann. Your legs are ready. Hi, everybody. Your legs are ready, but is your gut? Today, we are moving past surviving the race to the elite math of performance. We're breaking down the 120 grams of carbs, and we're going to talk about 800 milligrams of sodium as the floor level for our sodium. And the 3-step caffeine protocol. So we talked about this in some previous episodes. I don't believe we completely finished it, but today we're going to talk about how I will use caffeine in 3 steps as the secret weapon, right? And basically it's, a brain block. We'll get into the details here shortly. But first we're going to open up the training logs. Ann, what have you had going on the last couple of weeks?
Strength training, still doing that. And I love it because it's like 20 minutes. It's like every other day. So I feel like it's giving me a little bit more, like, it's still structured, but I'm kind of a little bit more laid back about it. And Dragon Boat League, I'll tell you what.
I saw your post, saw your picture. That was awesome.
Yeah,
of a boat.
It was, it's so much fun. It's, now that we're getting into like the technique, it's a big workout. So, I had a gentleman behind me last week that was like really huffing and puffing as we were like working, trying to go fast. And, I forgot that I had my Ironman visor on, and I forgot that the back strap says Ironman. And then he and his daughter, who are bench mates, like start talking like I can't hear them. And I heard this, he's like, I don't know, I'm sitting behind this Ironman, and the daughter's like, oh, that's what her tattoo is. So there's this whole conversation about me happening like right behind me. And then
wait, you have a tattoo too?
Yeah, I have it. I can't show you the back of my, but I'm not.
Please do. Try to show us. Would you? Let's see this.
I'll probably pull something when I.
There you go.
So they so afterwards we're putting all of our stuff up, and I'm walking up there, and he's like, the gentleman that was behind me, he's like, nothing more intimidating than sitting behind somebody who's done Ironman. And that's when I realized it was on the back of my visor. I had no idea like that was like in his face the whole time. Like, sorry, next week I'll wear something different. But
Did
yeah,
you like look over and give him like a wink or something?
Not at all. But it's been a while since I've been called in.
That I was wearing my Ironman visor.
I grabbed it. It's like the only visor I have. And anyway, but it's been a while since I've been called intimidating. But apparently it's been like at Dragon Boat Racing. But yeah, it's a ton of fun. It's a good workout. Every time I'm a little bit more impressed every day when I see these ladies out there, because it's a good workout. And the ladies that I see, and the gentlemen too, like older age, I mean, they're getting after it. So it's been a lot of fun. I really have been enjoying it. It's been great.
And you put a picture up on the social? Like, did you unfriend me? I haven't seen this.
I did unfriend you. I'm sorry that Alicia just broke the news to you.
Okay. All right.
I just stalk Ann, like, I wake up and I check her Instagram.
Yeah. Oh, so Alicia, you're stalking Ann.
Yes.
The millennial in me.
There you go. The millennial going after the Gen X.
Yeah, the Gen X's are sound asleep at that time. It was literally just a picture of the boat. So so it wasn't me doing it, but it was just a picture of the boat.
It was more like because we talked about you at the last podcast meeting, not
that's
talked
100% it.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. It's like, watch this.
What about the open water swim stuff?
Oh, did I tell you I signed up for? Yeah, I did tell you I signed up for a little race this weekend. I tried to swim last Sunday we were out at the beach and I was sitting there. I was like, I should probably get in the water. It's been since last summer that I've swam at all. And I got in a little bit later than I should have. The tide was coming in. And I have absolutely, I will own this, I have become that soft Floridian because the water was probably 70 and I deemed it way too cold. And I was like, I can't catch my breath. I'm out. So I swam 100 yards and I was done. It's warmed up a little bit. I mean, it's warming up really fast now that we're into the warmer days. So
that's 70. So 68 is like 20. So that's got to be what, like 22, 23 degrees. That's
wetsuit legal. That's wetsuit legal.
It is wetsuit legal. Yeah. But so the race, so if those of you can't see, I'm going to put it in quotes, like the air quotes, like the race is this weekend. It's only a half mile. It'll be fine. I don't know if I'm going to dust off I don't know if I'm that person that I'm going to dust off the wetsuit yet or not, but I need to locate it first because it's been a while.
And
so
you're just like brushing it off. Like it's only a half mile. I'm just like,
well, I know. And I say that, and I don't mean to dismiss anybody who like that is significant. I recognize that because there are people that would do anything to be able to just jump in the water.
But when you do Ironmans,
when you're sporting the Ironman visor, you can say, it's just.
I mean, gonna go row that boat by myself.
It's gonna be a little sufferfest though. You'll probably feel it a little bit.
Of course I will. And then I've got dragon boat practice that night, so it'll be fine.
Excellent.
Yeah. So that's what I've got going on.
Do you have any athletes you want to highlight?
Actually, I do. I have a really good one that oh my gosh, poor girl. She has been wanting Ironman, has been on her bucket list for years. She picked Ironman Jacksonville, which is the middle of May, coming up in about 11 weeks. She is a rock star. She has 3 kids at home that are like young kids. She's working full time. She's teaching like some college level classes. She's got 3 kids. Her husband also works full time. And she texts me on Friday and says, we just put an offer in on a house. I have to get my house ready to be listed by Monday. She had a 3 or 4 hour bike ride and then a long run scheduled because we're in the meat of training. So the thing that I appreciated is that she already really had it figured out. She had the big long bike. She had a good solid run as well as a pretty decent long swim on Sunday. And her husband had already made like a commitment. So he was also going to be out of the house. So she had already had babysitters lined up. Her father-in-law was coming over. These kids still had birthday parties. They had swim lessons. There was so much going on. I was like tired reading it. So she already had it figured out. She knows what it takes. I didn't have to I didn't have to give her any guidance. I'm like, what you came up with is perfect. Just get in what you can. And if I'm not, I think I'm correct. Instead of the full 4 hours, I think she got in like maybe 3:30 or something like that. It was damn close. So A for effort all around. And I did see that she had I think she started at like 4 a.m. for that bike ride just to get it in.
Sometimes that is like the best time to work out when everybody's
really
sleeping.
Is.
It's that feeling when you're done at like 7, 8 a.m.
Yeah.
It's like
the feeling is great. The biological side of it, not so great.
It's hard. Yeah.
I totally agree. Like just having it done and out of the way for the day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But now what we have to balance is the mental fatigue, because she's physically tired and we text a little bit over the weekend and she's like, Sunday, I finally, I didn't sit down. And then her husband had to remind her that she had already done like all of this stuff for Ironman training. But yeah, she's a rock star. She knows what it takes. And she always has. She has always been that athlete that she knows what it takes. She knows it's going to be a long, painful journey to get to that start line. But when she's dedicated, man, she is like dialed in and she's doing anything that she can.
Well, I think that's a perfect example of, fitting the training into the chaos, right? Like
Absolutely.
if I mean that's it right there. I mean, you can't draw a better line to it than
Yeah.
that. And you said she was supposed to have a 4-hour brick session or whatever order you had it in on that one day. But I've talked to this many times before. I've had athletes in the past go quite the other extreme where they just go, "Yeah, I couldn't do the workouts." It's like, why? I didn't have enough time.
Right. I
Well,
can't
how
get
much
it
time
all
did you
in.
have? Right?
Mhm.
Like, oh, I had 3.5 hours. Oh, why didn't you do 3.5? Well, because you prescribed 4 hours and I wasn't going to get it all done. So I thought, and it's like, well, okay, let's be honest here. Did you want to really work out or not?
Yeah.
Because again, did you want, 3.5 hours? Definitely. I mean, trim things down. That's just fitting it in. That's dedication and kudos.
Yeah, so she had it was a 4-hour ride. She got in 3 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Her run was supposed to be like an hour 50. She got in an hour 48. I mean,
Right. And I'm
she's
guessing these are foundations.
yeah, foundations.
Yeah. Right.
That
Right.
ride was like an interval ride, a little bit
Oh,
of
wow. Nice.
spiciness at the beginning, and then
Yeah.
yeah, she rocked it. And then a good solid like 3,000-meter swim in
Mm-hmm.
there, like in 2 days, and then plus cleaning up the house, getting everything like photo ready. It's a
Mm-hmm.
lot. It's a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
yeah,
I find that always interesting. Like, I mean, Mark Zuckerberg, like the guy, hate the guy or not, he can run a sub 17-minute 5K. Like, you make time for that. I feel like you're a better dad, a better executive, a better business owner,
yeah,
just a better person when you commit to like your physical health. Like,
yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of other examples out there, but
Yeah. You can find time. You can fit it
mhm.
in if it's something that you really want. I'm in the middle of a learning with Runa, right? Like she's at the age kind of where I didn't have time. I'm like, you're 10. How can you not have time in a day? First of all, kind of thing, right? Like, so really what I'm hearing is you just didn't want to do it or else, art's not important. And so but you found time to go play with friends. You found time to do this, the hobby that you like doing, that type of thing. So I totally agree. If it's what you really want to do, you will fit it in and you'll find time and you can make it
Yeah,
work.
yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Alicia, yourself.
Yeah, I'll kind of jump on that. I had an athlete too. He actually wrote in the comment section on the workout, busy weekend, not sure I'm going to be able to fit it in. And initially, and I responded back of like, just focus on the key aspects or the main set of the workout. Um, I almost say like, it's okay to skip the cool down or, ease into it.
Yeah.
And then I kind of actually held back and I was just like, I'm just going to see. And
Hmm.
Sunday evening when I went and checked, he did it all. He even added like 5-10 minute strength aspect to it. So it just almost goes to show that you can feel overwhelmed and stuff, but then when you really prioritize it, it can happen. So it was definitely a win on that aspect. He's doing Ironman Lake Placid and it's his first as well. So it's one of those things. I think if the goal is scary enough,
Hmm.
you will skip the workouts. And at the end of the day, I always say too, is the training, it's challenging enough. You're working on tired legs. It's build, 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 build. Even if his workout didn't, if he missed one, it's not the end of the world. Like, it is at the end of the day just a workout, and your fitness isn't going to like depreciate so much that you're just screwed. But on like from my standpoint, I actually had a really fun group of like a high rocks workout that we did as there was like a group of 5 of us. So we had that kind of camaraderie, that build up. I remember the first time, just I don't know, not that long ago, I went to go do 40 wall balls and I felt like I was gonna like vomit. And this workout, we had to do like a threshold run, or like race pace effort run and then 40 wall balls. And we had to repeat that 4 times. And I was like unbroken doing it. And I'm like hanging. And I was like, like, wow. So it was kind of that moment of the first time you start training. This is one thing I love about training newer athletes or athletes who are like maybe jumping from the 5K, 10K to the half marathon or that marathon pace. And you do things, whether it's like hitting 15 miles for the first time or double digits or you notice your zone 2, suddenly you're jogging a little bit faster and your heart rate's those little, like, aha moments. I feel like I kinda had that little win because I'm still kind of in this, like, "I don't know, these exercises are weird," until I'm like, "Oh, oh, it's making sense. It's clicking. The fitness is working." Um, but then I got some annoying virus. I wanna say it was like COVID because I had that massive headache, pure fatigue, just wanted to lay on the couch, and just did nothing for 3 days straight, and it was one of those setbacks of, like, where do I start? Maybe we save this for another episode of just how do you come back into the training or what should that look like? But I'm back. I still got this little bit of dry cough and, like, my fitness is I still got it. I feel like I'm just, like, sweating a little bit more, but I will say all the carbs, all the fueling as if, even though I was, like, laying on the couch, I was eating as if I was still, like, working out, and I think that definitely paid off dividends to how I'm feeling now and how I'm recovering, so, good to know. Yep, all's good. I'm glad that's done with. It was awful.
Yeah, and it's
Ugh.
interesting because I mean, I think I had a talk with an athlete last week. It's just like, one bad workout or one workout that's not exactly like it was prescribed, it's not gonna kill your training, right? Like,
Mhm,
you're still getting fitness in. It might not be the exact, not process, yeah, session goal that we were looking for.
mhm,
But you're still getting fitness and, we can always redo it again later. So, I mean, and
mhm,
that's kudos, right? So it does, a lot of people do worry about, deconditioning, right? I mean, yeah, it can start within a week, but it doesn't really fully show until like 14, 21 days kind of thing, right? So one workout, you're not doing so bad. If they're one workout all stacked on top of another, that might be different. But yeah, I definitely let's pin that one for another maybe it'll be the next podcast even is when do I dial it back?
mhm,
When do we actually skip sessions and do you try to make them up? Because I know
mhm,
coaches always, hey, I couldn't do this one. I missed it. Do you want me to just, I had it today. Do you want me to
mhm,
just do it with this other stuff that I did? Well, you have two choices. Let's do this or we just count it as a skipped. Well, I can't handle the skipped. I'm going to move it. It's like, okay, good. Let's do that. But sometimes, athletes will just want to, I'm just going to move it and put it where I want it, not where coach wants it. And that might not be what we want, right? Based on fatigue and everything. So, I kind of have the same that I can also kind of build on what you're saying about, you'll find time to fit training into your schedule. I've actually got two athletes this week that are traveling. I've got one that's camping, and then one that told me he's going to Argentina. Right. And then I think you saw it in the WhatsApp community. Alicia, I think you saw it. Camilio is in Argentina, but he's still getting his runs in. Right. Like, so he's out, he's kind of on vacation. The guy's pretty busy. And he's still being able to find time and take some video and show us what kind of conditions he's running in. So that's really cool. And then I've got Joe who's out camping with family. Right. So I want to say he's only 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks out from a 70.3. Um, but still
Isn't it
finding time.
isn't it too cold to be camping up there? What's going on?
He's in your neck of the woods.
Oh, okay. I was like, what is happening? Okay, carry on.
It is 0 the last few days, so about 32 your temps, so it's not
No,
bad.
no, thank you. Okay,
So, but he's
sorry.
finding time, right? Like we had a good, and athletes, talk to your coaches, talk to us, and just say, "I'm traveling. Can I still do this?" And for Joe, who is camping, and seeing family and that, we said, "Okay, cool. We'll skip the swims. We'll do some bikes and we'll do some runs. And here's like the thresholds so you can manage them. Because if you're used to being on a trainer with power." And maybe you're going to do more campground kind of biking and stuff. It might look different and we can make it work for you, right? As long as you want it to work. So, me personally, things haven't changed much. Still pretty status quo, just ramping up, onboarding a few more athletes the last couple of weeks. Still have room. If anybody's looking to jump on or on the fence, I think all of us probably still have room that are coming into yeah, cool. But I think that's a good segue into what we want to talk about this week. And we're opening up our cupboards. So we'll call it the cupboard tour. We'll call it, we're all kind of, oh, geez, yeah, we should probably go get all the stuff that we're in our cupboards that we
I got a
train with.
whole bin of it.
Yeah. So,
Ooh.
and I find it interesting for myself because if we had done this a few years ago, I'd probably be bringing up 2 or 3 bins kind of thing, right? Like making 2 or 3 trips to go get all the stuff that I at one time used to have in the cupboard for myself personally. And now it's kind of like, now it's just a little bit of a full armful and it's not so bad. And even that, when I look at it, it's just like, it's pretty minimal compared to what it is. And I do want to caveat moving forward for the rest of this episode, we are not certified, right? We're not registered. I guess maybe we're certified, but we're not. And your dietitian stuff, are you certified or registered?
I'm not a certified registered dietitian or registered
Okay.
dietitian. No, I'm not.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I know you know a lot about it, and so
Yeah.
when we get into everything moving forward here, this is what we do personally, and this is what we will recommend to a lot of our athletes. And there's always going to be the caveat of, it depends. It's going to depend on everybody individually. So if you do have any questions, you want to challenge us on any of the numbers or anything that we're throwing out in here, please reach out to anyone, 3 of us. And we'd love to have, that conversation about what it is. We're all pretty number geeky. So a lot of the stuff is, backed. It's backed by some science. It's backed by peer reviews. It's backed by a lot of things. So just wanted to throw that out there in case someone wants to start yelling at us and just saying, hey, it's like, okay, this is, again, what we do. Obviously, everybody is free to kind of do what they wish, but I find this works really, really well for what I do with my athletes. And all 3 of us do have a slightly different approach. And I think that'll be really kind of cool to get into. So, Alicia, we'll start with you. What do you currently have in your cupboard and what do you use, or how does it work?
I'll start with my hydration actually. So I use Lifetime's Hydrate. So this is my electrolytes. It is what I'm looking for is sodium and potassium is the number one. So this one has 390 milligrams of potassium and 720 milligrams of sodium. There is 1 carb. But then I also look into the ingredients. Okay, this one is Redmond real salt, tripotassium citrate, citric acid, some of the things I can't pronounce, but there's not a huge long list. It's like 6 ingredients. And it is also NSF certified safe for sport. It is strawberry lemonade, so I'm assuming there is some flavor in here. Oh no, sweet. I'm not sure. It's one of those things, but I am from excuse me. I know I'm a heavy sweater. There's that cough. And so for me, this definitely helps. Whether I'm like just doing a easy endurance run, I wake up and I drink it. I always have it in my water bottle when I'm doing my workouts. And I definitely feel it when I just drink water. Like I'm like, oh, I need my hydration. I just feel better with it. From a performance standpoint, it's obviously going to help with cramping, with keeping yourself hydrated. It's going to absorb that water that much better. So that's my go-to electrolyte powder. And then I am actually a huge liquid carb. I think this comes from a lot of cyclists. So sometimes I don't like to take a gel, or I really am not a huge fan of chewing my carbs. It just doesn't sit well in my stomach. Sometimes I have a chew like as my breakfast, or like as a quick before I'm starting or before a race. I don't mind chewing it. But when I'm running, it's like can't do chews. And this is more, again, I'm training more 10K, half marathon distance. I'm sure this could also change for Ironman and ultra. I think very few ultra endurance athletes just do gels. Like, so they're looking more at like bananas, oranges, actual fuel. But I'm a super fan of high carb. So this is the Science in Sport. And it is 40 grams of carbohydrate, 1 to 0.8 ratio of maltodextrin to fructose. And I recommend, for the most part, to my athletes every 20 to 30 minutes to take a gel when they are racing, especially for events over that 90-minute mark. When I did my marathon, granted, it was a 4-hour marathon, and I actually did precision gels, which I don't have. I know Anne has some that I believe are 40 grams of carbs.
30.
30. Okay, thank you. So every 20 to 30 minutes, I was taking in 30 grams of carbs. I think I took in like 12 gels, and my stomach was amazing. So it's one of those things you definitely need to test and train upwards to. Don't just see someone on Instagram who takes in 120 grams of gel, per hour and think, oh, because she's doing it, I need to do it too. Especially if you're not used to doing that at all. Okay. Start with the 25 gram per gel. I've also done things of like, I'll go crazy and I'm like, I'm just going to take 2 gels at the same time because why not?
Oh my gosh. How's that?
But it is.
How did that work out for you?
Oh, I felt great. It was amazing. With liquids, obviously you always want to take your gels with a little bit of fluid. You want to be able to kind of like wash it down. Some people like to have nerd gummies. I have one athlete who swears by dates while he's training. He probably won't race with dates, but again, it's one of those things like make sure you're fueling, but how you get your fuel is going to definitely be a personal preference. But it is something you definitely need to train up to as well. Again, like I said, I actually really like, this one's a Mortant. It's a 160. So this one has 160 milligrams of sodium, 40 grams of carbohydrate. So this is definitely more of a fuel, not necessarily so like you're not going to get your electrolytes just from this per se. But there is something about just chugging some water or like chugging your drink and just sipping on it constantly that to me feels really good, and versus taking a gel and I'm just like, oh, sometimes it might sit in your throat, or you just don't like how it sits in your stomach, whereas liquid, you're constantly sipping on it. So that's another. And I always do at least one caffeine gel. Sometimes I'll start with that caffeine gel if I'm really feeling that little pick-me-up. But that's another thing. If you're used to caffeine, if you're sensitive to caffeine, definitely try it first. I have this one gel. Oh gosh, you guys, I bought it on accident. It's called the Nootropics. And this one has, this is crazy, 200 milligrams of caffeine in it. It also has L-taurine, which is 1,000 milligrams, in citrulline and L-theanine, which it sent me to the bathroom. Let's just say that. It was like, woo! So definitely make sure you check your ingredients, and test. Okay. Don't just assume, on race day, you're going to look at, oh, this is what they have on course, I'm going to take it, because that could definitely be detrimental. So, I know I'm talking a lot, but I'm going to go on to one story because I came from very much a personal training background. I used to help a lot of athletes. I was very much in the weight loss realm of like, you talk to your doctor and it's like, stay away from sodium, don't drink pop, don't drink simple sugars, to then give me all the simple foods and simple carbs and low fiber that you can get. And it's just crazy, the mindset. So if you are a new runner, or you started running due to weight loss and your doctor's telling you this, again, that's a conversation maybe you also have with your doctor or with a registered dietitian. But if you're constantly working out or exercising or training and you're feeling like fatigued, tired, exhausted, nothing feels good, that's usually a sign we're under fueling and need to look at more than just what our workouts are.
I just wanted to mention, so I agree. Like most of the time, it's not till about that 60, 90-minute mark do we really need to start thinking, again, depending where you are, like if you're down in Miami, you're probably going to need to hydrate a little sooner than say somebody up here in Alberta or something. However, generally speaking, 60 to 90 minutes is when I tell most of my athletes is that's when you should start thinking about the hydration and the fueling on your session. So whether it's a foundation, a long run, bike, whatever it is. But there's nothing, and I just had this conversation with an athlete, I think on Monday, when we talk about training the GI, so training the gut, just because you don't have a big run like that, let's say on a Saturday or that long run day for whatever it is, it still doesn't mean that you can't not take that gel. You cannot take that, hydration and practice it on a 45-minute run. It's just, I just don't feel that we need it. But if you want to train the gut, then do it, kind of thing. So I just wanted to kind of caveat that a little bit that, when you say start training the gut, some of the research that I found, it says, 6 to 10 weeks minimum to train the gut to what you wanted to do for example, if you wanted to get to that 120 grams of carbs per hour, minimum, 6 to 10, I say 18 to 22, right? We want to start it early and slowly ramp it up. So, but I just wanted, before we move on or let you finish on yours, that just because it's not that hour run yet doesn't mean you can't do it. You can still train earlier. You're just going to have different effects when you get into that 90 or 2 or 3 hour again, depending on what event, whether it's Ironman or ultra or marathon. I'll kind of wait for my turn to explain, why you can have that gel in mile 1 and then it feels totally different in mile 20. Right? Because obviously there's going to be a scientific reason why that feels like it's sitting in your stomach versus been before. And that's kind of part of the training that we want to do as well. So did you have anything you want to add to what you have in your cupboard and you use?
No, yeah, no. I'll say things that I have in my cupboard that I'm not a fan of. No. Just making sure sometimes I have Scratch. Scratch is a great product as well. I will say when I bought this is my husband makes fun of me because it's super high carb. So, but yours has hydration. This one has 0 electrolytes in it. It's strictly carbs.
Yep.
So a lot of times when you're drinking, you want to drink your electrolytes, take your carbs. Some people like to keep it combined. But what if you're out there and you're just not drinking fast enough, so you don't even know exactly that ratio of how many carbs you're getting per hour or vice versa. So, and this is, which is great, 400 calories. When I first saw the packaging, I'm like, super high carb. It was 100 grams of carbs per 7 scoops. And I was like, who's going to put 7 scoops in their water bottle and how much? So it definitely, again, read the directions, read the serving sizes, but make sure you're not making the mistake of just putting carbs in your water bottle and forgetting that electrolyte component. Because I would say, I don't know, what about you guys? If water, electrolytes, carbohydrate, what would you, how would you rank those?
Sorry, go ahead, Ann. You go first.
No, I do not recommend just straight water to my athletes. Because water itself isn't hydrating. I think we've talked about this, if it not on camera, but off. Water itself is not hydrating. It needs to have the electrolytes to be able to pull it into your system, into your body to use it. So now, with the caveat is if you're out on an ultra or at mile whatever of a marathon, you're like, I'm so sick of just drinking this stuff and it's so sweet and I hate everything and I hate this and this is dumb. So take some water, and even if you just swish it in your mouth and spit it out, a couple of sips is not going to hurt you. But if you have a bottle of water and a bottle of your liquid nutrition or your electrolytes, things like that, that water is actually diluting what you're putting into your system. So you're not getting the fat, say, for sake of numbers, you're not getting the 1,000 milligrams of sodium. That water is taking up valuable real estate. So I'm a big proponent too of you're only going to ingest what's going to help you. And water itself, like I said, is just going to take up valuable real estate. And now again, like I will dump water over my head. I'll wash my hands off because they get sticky and gross. I will take a few sips. I just won't take that big cup and finish the cup, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Do you want me to segue into
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, what have you
so
got?
I've got a whole bunch of stuff. So I have Infinite Nutrition is one of my favorites. This is a marathon swim blend that I had. Infinite does a really cool thing. If you don't know, they will do like a consultation with you and do a custom blend for you. So I wish I could remember exactly what's in this. Oh wait, no, it's on the back. So this is what I used for.
You have to use your readers.
I do. These are bifocals, and they have been for a long, long time. These
Millennials.
are.
I joke. I had LASIK, so I'm just
Your time is coming, millennial.
Millennials.
So this is this had been tweaked quite a bit from my Mackinac Island swim, which was a 8.5-mile swim a few years ago. So I had balanced out. I actually had my watch set to fuel every 30 minutes. So this was
real quick. Time out.
Go ahead.
What do you use to time your watch to remind you to drink, like to fuel? You're not the first person who's told me this, and I wanted to have that as a.
You can just
is it
set
just
an
in
alert.
your watch?
Yeah,
Oh, you
it's
just set an alert.
Yeah, so I have it. You can do it on. I mean, for anything. I also have my athletes do that, especially longer distance. More. I mean, anytime, but a lot of times on the bike, it's cooler. You're out there. You kind of are forgetting how much time has gone by. Set your bike computer or your watch or both to alert. So especially for a swim, mine will chime and vibrate at the same time. So
Awesome.
I have it set. I didn't go by distance because you never know.
Yeah.
I did a 30-minute, every 30 minutes I would stop and take a good, this is super scientific, a good couple of chugs of the water of my blend. So this one had 250 calories, 60 grams of carbs. Where's my potassium? I can't find my sodium for some reason. Oh, here's sodium, 313 milligrams of sodium. So for me, this worked really well. You can even adjust like the flavor. You can add caffeine, not caffeine, whatever. I played around with quite a few different formulas. This one worked excellent for me. However, I didn't take into consideration the water temperature was 54 degrees, and it was colder than it had ever been. So I burned through this much, much faster than I did during training. And I didn't, which is it, whatever, it is what it is. So hindsight, I would have planned and packed a little bit extra, but I did. They had 3 stops along the way of the Mackinac Island swim, and one of the stops, my hands were so frozen. I think my brother was there. And I had him open like a pack of fruit snacks for me, and I just inhaled the fruit snacks because I knew I needed something to be able to finish. But that story aside, Infinite Nutrition, highly recommend them. All of their products are great. Their custom blends are excellent. You get to talk to somebody who, like I talked to somebody else who was also a marathon swimmer, so they really understand it. But I also, Alicia had talked about, I have discovered Precision Fuel, which their name is popping up more than ever. They've been around for quite a while, a couple of years now. But I feel like they're really just hitting the sports more than ever. I use these for the Big Pecker Challenge. Fuels, I'm with you, Alicia. I had to choose. In fact, there's one left in this. I don't. These were okay during training. I did not love the chews during the actual race itself.
And you
But
guys, we are not sponsored by any of it. This is purely our
Yeah.
unbiased, honest
absolutely,
thoughts.
Thank you.
yeah.
I've been waiting for a time to say that, right? We
Been
are
trying to get
not
a word in
sponsored by
edgewise.
anybody. Yeah.
No, yeah.
Not sponsored by anybody. These are just the products that work for us. There we go.
Yes, yeah. So let me back up a little bit too with I'm not a registered dietitian. I do have a degree in nutrition.
Mhm.
Um I do help athletes with nutrition in general, so like a consultation, anything like that. Uh I'm game for. I will tell you too, I'm not a sponsorship, but I am part of Team Infinite. So if anybody wants to try it, I do have a discount code where you can get a
Hmm.
discount. I think that's the only thing I have a discount code for. Um, but back to precision hydration. Um, these were their little like hydration packs. So I don't know if you use these, Alicia. I had like the 1,000. I had the 1,500 because it's hotter than hot down here. Um, those, they also have the tablets, like the little things. These were great to travel with. Just use those to fuel with leading up to, or hydrate with, sorry, leading up to. My other fan favorite is base salt. We've talked about that a lot. This is the little tube that is well worn that has the little, you just dump some of the salt in there and then it's easy to carry. This flips open. You can lick your thumb and then tip it and then lick it again. Actually, I got it all over me now. Then I too have Scratch. This is almost ready to expire, so you can see how much I loved that. That's not, it's just not my favorite. I have my own electrolyte blend now that I do. What else do I have? I too used to have like a whole pantry full, and I just threw away a whole bunch of the Morton stuff because we're not using it. Had I known that you were using it, I would have sent it to you. Uh, we also,
I started on Morton because I feel like they were the first ones to really come out with that like gels back in the day. I don't know if you guys remember. It was like peanut
ugh,
butter texture.
they were
I feel like
awful.
we've come such a long way from gels. Now it's like you just slurp it. You can just
Yeah.
it's great. Morton's is almost now like one, they're a little bit too pricey for me. Now it's like that gelatin. I'm like, oh, ugh. But they are very popular on race courses. They do a really good job marketing. Nothing, yeah, it's kind of, again, I don't want to knock anybody, but yeah, I am a huge precision. I will say precision and science and sport are my lately go-tos.
I think the precision hydration, precision fuel is, I love it because this is so simple, but they even figured out this little tab. And if you know, you know, right? Like those little things on the race course drive me batty, but this like tears and it just hangs there and it's genius. And you don't get the goo cuts on the side of your mouth when you're trying to like slurp it and run. Um, my other thing, I am also, and I know JW, this is a really good segue. So I'm gonna hold on that for just a second. I do have my athletes train their gut. We started to talk about that. I do have it's not a secret, but I do have a little bit of a formula that I use for my female athletes and my male athletes as a baseline of what they're going to start with ingesting. I'm talking like more on the bike, like swim and run, we can adapt and adjust, but the bike fueling, you've got to nail it to be able to finish that run on a long distance. So, I do have a baseline where I start my athletes at, and then we taper, or not taper, we actually increase up until and training that gut until they just can't, like, you'll know, and when you get there, like, you'll know what I'm talking about, and then we'll kind of bring it back down a little bit and we'll find that happy sweet spot of where you are gaining the benefits of the fueling. You're actually not feeling bloated and icky. But segue that I'm gonna hand over to JW because I know he and I, like, we both were talking about honey stingers before. I do love these because they're easy, they're portable, they taste good. Um, Honey Stinger waffles are also good. I love those for like a quick like breakfast before putting something in your stomach when you're heading out the door. Um, I don't have a running store like a store close by where I can get them. So I did find the original Stroop waffle
Oh.
at Home Goods, Marshalls, Home Goods, whatever. Had these out, and my husband was using these more for fuel at that time. And I ended up picking up like 6 boxes of these because the original Stroop waffle started I think it's Denmark. Do you know this history? Am I teaching everybody something?
No, I want a history lesson.
It's a Dutch classic. Enjoy a Dutch classic. So they, and I might be wrong. I may just be spewing something that I was told and is not true, but my understanding was that Lance Armstrong was eating these during the tour and loved them so much and brought them to the States and replicated. Honestly, I'm not picking on Honey Stinger, but the original are just a lot better.
Tad lot better.
But this was like, this packet's already been opened. So you do get just like a stack of them. But there's more goodness in them. There's a little bit more filling. So anyway, we do use those. This whole box was pretty inexpensive and they're super easy to find. They're just not individually wrapped like the Honey Stingers are that you can buy in the running stores. So it's definitely been a long journey to get my box also just down to like 1 bin. I should have grabbed my husband's because his is a whole hot mess that he's still very much like goo, old school, and where he doesn't deviate from that. So to each their own, right? Like he's figured out that's what works for him. We've all figured out what works for us over the years.
Yeah,
So
eventually the
honey,
science changes though, right? Like
yeah.
on some of it. And when I got into mine, and this is kind of a little bit of a come to light moments that we were having last week when we were talking about this and the more that I've thought about it is our plans will change, right? So our hydration and our nutrition plans and what, are you good? Like, is your cupboard done?
Yes.
Was there anything else you wanted to add? Okay.
No, no. Go ahead.
Okay. And what I was probably doing a few years ago might have reached some of the numbers that we were talking about today. But then when you drop some products or change a product or maybe keep checking the labels and maybe they change on you, it was a little bit more of, while what I am doing is working to reach the carbs and the sodium levels, but on a really low end of it. And so, my takeaway from preparing for this episode was we should probably keep revisiting the numbers and how you're doing it. I too, I mean, it's no secret. I like the Honey Stingers. I like the chews. And probably the main reason why I got turned on to those is I don't like the gels. Simply, once they're open, at least in my personal experience, once they're open, you almost got to kind of like, yes, even though they have the nice little cool carabiner hooks on them and stuff now, they're still going to be messy, right? And then, and I find this a bit interesting. The more I talk to marathoners or, and I'm listening, I guess, maybe for it now, I think it was actually you, Ann, had said, that Pecker was a cupless race. Was that you?
Well, yeah, it was me. And
Okay.
yes, it turned out to not be true, but it was supposed to be. Yes.
Yeah. And so in the ultra world, that's just standard, right?
Yeah.
Like no cups in the bush, so to say, or up in nature. But even with these, it's just like, if once it's open, I got to eat it all, or and now it's making a mess in my pack. It's whatever it is. So, but I mean, they're really good. These are the Honey Stinger. Or not Honey Stinger, sorry. These are the Sun River Honey, right? And so these are local here to Alberta. These are pretty good. I don't mind them if I'm going to have one. I just don't think I'll ever take them on the trail with me. And part of what I have too often is, what do I do with the packaging? Right. So, as you're mentioning about the wafers are great, but every time I open up a wafer, so if I'm out on a 3-hour leg of a 10-hour race, I'm going to have 3 hours worth of garbage with me. And where do I keep putting that? I mean, yeah, it's going to come from the other spot. But again, if this is open and it's leaking, it's, JWism number, whatever. And it's just, it's going to be kind of messy.
You need a bra? You got to start wearing bras and putting them in your bras.
Tuck it in there. Yeah.
That's a whole nother show.
That's great, because then as you run, it like those edges just start cutting into you.
Then you get chafing.
Yeah. And then you find it when you get in the
want.
shower and you scream like a girl. Yes.
Yeah. Like the legs and the nipples aren't enough, right? The chafe, which it's for, I trained one athlete, and seriously, like we had to get the daisy patches and stuff for him.
What are daisy patches?
So
the
like
nipple patches?
Yeah, there you go. So like if you go get a tattoo done or something, they're supposed to put these things over your nipples. Dancers in adult
we have
clubs.
Suddenly gone that we've lost a PG rating.
But it's funny because it's a very real thing though. It's just like, so, you don't think males would often come in with that, but I've seen marathoners, their shirts are just bloodied when they come in because the chafe is very real. So, they're trying Band-Aids, but Band-Aids sweat off. And now, you're trying spider tape, and we're doing all these different things. So, I'm not sure how we got there, but it's
But here we are. But I will tell you a story. The first time I saw somebody like with bloody nipples on a run, it looked like they had been shot. And I was like, what is going on? Because there was only one. I mean, and it looked like he had just been shot through the chest. So
and the leg chafe that you're saying too is very real. And I don't hear it too much from the marathoners, but in the ultra world, it's the butt chafe.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So I use Body Glide, right? So it's just a sports thing that they use, right? Mostly for my feet, actually, not so much my legs, but I will use it on my butt, right? So I have one in the bag is the butt Body Glide, and the other one anybody can borrow.
Well, there's like there's butt butter.
Well, there's
butter,
right? But I mean, it's the same thing. It's just a different brand, right? And so all these things are supposed to help with chafing out on the trail. But
we have gone from nutrition to butt glide.
But getting back, so I do like, but it's there's a lot of garbage. There's going to be a lot of waste with some of these, but I do like the honey stingers. I've tried the scratch. I'm kind of in the same boat. I didn't dislike it. It just wasn't necessarily my favorite and worked for me. And more so, it was the chews. And I like the chews, but what I didn't like is the sugar coating on them. Right. And so again, you're out there, your hands are sweating, you're on the trail, you're 6 hours into whatever endurance race that you're doing. Now you want to open this and like have all that sugar stick to and I'm not sure it's sugar, but it's like some kind of crystal coating, right? Now it's all sticking to your hands. And so now I'm, trying to, how do I get this off? Well, I'm in the camp where I will always have clean water and then my electrolyte water. Right. And so I'm a little different than yourself. And as I tell everybody, we have to have clean water and you have to have a certain amount because, of that clean, unelectrolyted water, because it just helps with the transport and everything else within the body. And we're going to segue into volumes and everything else here in a minute. But now I'm taking that clean water and I'm like spitting it on my hands, trying to get rid of all that grit and stuff like that. So that's kind of why that's really the only reason why I stayed away from the scratch. Tailwind's a big one for the ultra out here. They're all kind of the same, but different. I think Tailwind was developed by cyclists, right? Like they just couldn't find what worked well for them personally. So they're like, okay, there's gotta be a better way. Let's go make our own. And then segue into, hey, everybody else liked it. So that's good. But I think that really just falls in the camp of everybody's kind of going to have their own preferences. But I think what we can kind of lead into a little bit is what are we talking for numbers, right? So I think the floor for sodium should be about 800 milligrams, right? And some
Per
athletes
hour.
per hour,
Correct.
yes, correct, per hour. And we can get up to 1,000 to 1,100 depending on what end of the sweat scale you're on, right? And if you're not sure if you're a heavy salt sweater or not, the easiest way to at least start thinking about it is do you have the white ring or the kind of the white powder around your sweat? Like on your shirt and stuff like that. That will indicate, because that's really just the sodium kind of that you sweated out drying up, right? So that'll kind of tell you, hey, you might be a heavy salt sweater. You can do tests if you want it. I have a little chart that you can do all the weights and you can do everything else and find out what your sweat rate is, right? And that'll give you a pretty good indication on what your fueling should look like. It should also probably help with your electrolytes and everything else. The last time I did mine, I think I was like 1.2 liters per hour is what I sweat. Okay. The body, though, I've talked about this before, really has about a 1 liter, right? So our bodies can only really process 1 liter of water per hour. Now, and think of this as it's not just 1 liter of clean water. It's going to be 1 liter of your electrolyted water. Let's say, we're talking about caffeine in here in a minute. If you have a cup before that, so it's under 250 mils, that's still water that counts that your body still has to process, right? So really, I mean, now think about it. If I'm out there for 10 hours, and my body can only process 1 liter of fluid water, but I'm sweating out 1.2. You really have to be kind of strategic about what we're doing with our hydration. So that's why you hear us coaches all the time. What's the hydration plan? And make sure we stick to it. You asked like, how do I set my alarms, or how do I know every 30 minutes, 40 minutes? I have several different ways. So depending if you're a triathlete versus a trail runner, but I'll just say set an alarm at the start of your race, right? Or a couple minutes after, and then don't turn off the alarm, just snooze it. And then you set the snooze to remind you every 30 minutes. Now, some watches will have a cap of like it only do that for an hour or two. The other one I believe you can do is you can just set up a timer to go off every 30 minutes on your watch, right? So if you bring your phone with you, you can always do something a little bit more with your phone if you're communicating. But on a 10-hour race, I try to save all the juice I can on the watch and the devices. So would you both of you pretty much agree with those numbers on the sodium?
Yeah, so a couple of things that I had to add. I was going to talk a little bit about Tailwind. You touched on it. I think Tailwind makes it easy for an athlete it takes the guessing game out of it. They have since, I mean, for the most part, right? They have since gone into like a recovery blend, which I did use during the last running cycle. But I did notice, and Alicia, you started talking about this a little bit, about the serving size, I think is like 2 big scoops or 3 maybe. So it is significant. Tailwind is great. I think I've mentioned this before. My husband and I had a retail store for a while, and one of my prides of the store was my nutrition wall. So I carried everything, because people would come in there just for the nutrition, because I had everything from Huma to UCAN to Cliff Blocks to Goo, like every flavor, Tailwind, every flavor. I mean, it was like one of the biggest sections. So if anybody has any questions or needs a recommendation for things, if you've got something that's like upsetting your stomach, whatever, let me know and I can help walk you through that. There was something else that I was going to touch on and I completely lost my train of thought. So go
Okay.
ahead.
Well, if it pops
Anybody has
back, let
anything
us
else?
know,
Yeah.
right? And this is the other part where I slightly disagree, but not and again, this is just my opinion about the clean water, is that if you are taking that 1,000 to 1,100 milligrams of the sodium, we still need that water to transport it, right? And to help open up some of the gates and stuff too. So again, if you want to get really precise, this is where, testing and nutritionists and things like that are going to come into play. The other one
I would say if you're gonna do the water, that's when the salt tabs are gonna come in. So, because I know I'm guilty of it too. Like I am not like it's just gonna make me gag if I take in any more electrolyte, especially if
Yeah.
it's now hot and room temperature. Just give me the water. But that's when the salt tabs are gonna come in, and it's gonna
yeah,
also help absorb that
yep, yeah.
giving you that refresher.
And palate
I
fatigue is very
think
real, right? And so I
right.
like let's have some clean water, let's say to wash down some gels or a bar that I just ate or some, homemade protein bars or whatever it is. And then the electrolytes and then the chews and everything else, right? It just, and mix up the flavors, right? Like
I
it's,
do I do also have like a little bit of opinion of the high sodium output for athletes, especially newer athletes who are just they're out there running and they're like, I'm a heavy sweater, I'm a heavy sweater. Like, yes, yeah, in Florida, yes, we are.
mhm,
But that doesn't mean necessarily that you need to have. Did you drop your pen?
yeah.
Is that
I did.
that you necessarily have to have such a high increase in sodium. So I would then take that athlete and come back to start them off at the 800 milligrams that you had talked about.
Mhm,
And instead of assuming that you've got all of this extra sweat and all this extra salt and I'm just a heavy sweater, instead of assuming that, we would start at that baseline and start working through some things. Then we come to the point where, okay, race day is different because the weather is different, and how do you adapt and adjust your sodium intake for the conditions on race day? So a
mhm.
lot of coaching isn't just a training plan. It's not just a,
You
go
said
do
it
this work.
yourself. You trained in water and then you raced in temperatures that were way different than what you were training in, right?
Right. And it's
Yeah.
knowing how to adapt and adjust. And part of being a coach is helping the athlete. Like, I guarantee you, plan A is not going to happen on race day. It very, very, very rarely does. I think I've had one race where plan B actually, or plan C actually was the one that I
Hmm.
went with. A lot of times you've got to come up with plan D and E and F, and like you've got to know
Yeah.
how to pivot and
Yeah.
adapt and adjust.
What
Yeah.
if you're
What
on
was
the
it?
bike and you drop a bottle, or
That has
you're on a
happened.
run and you drop a gel, or
Yep.
you miss an aid station? There's
Yeah.
so many things that could happen, and how are you going to pivot? Hmm.
I think
Mhm.
I think I've told this story, I'm not sure, and I'll make it brief because I know we're already at an hour, but I did have an athlete that, her nutrition just went sideways, like, right out of the swim, and, in order to, like, get back on track and actually finish, because she was very much headed towards the DNF, to get back on track and finish, we worked through, like, fueling, sodium, potassium, like all of these things at each water stop. So you do need to have that in the back of your mind. It's not just I'm going to go out and run. I've got to know what I'm going to do when things go sideways, because they're going to. And that's
Mhm.
just the nature of endurance sports.
Absolutely. So I think with the sodium, I think we can all agree that, yeah, that's 6 to 800 at the beginning. Let's regulate from there, depending how new and old you are, let's say, to training. Um, but just train your gut, right?
Yeah.
And just making sure. I will always come back and tell you, really, that 1 liter is kind of like it's hard set. It's kind of what I found it, everything around on the water. Because when we start putting more than that in, so like a lot of athletes will try to overhydrate, right? And just okay, well, if I'm 1.2, I'm going to do 1.5. And now you got 0.5 of water sitting in your stomach that it can't gastrate, right? It can't put it and process it. And that's going to now give you that sloshy feeling. We can talk about on another episode about, why is it that I can have those chews on mile 1 and not on 20? Because the system is shunting the blood, right? And the ability for the stomach to digest is being drastically reduced, and then what it can do the longer that you're out there. So I mean, if you're doing Ironman, right, like tell them to have a grenade bar. Can't see it, I'm holding up a grenade bar. Say, have that just halfway through your run at the end of your Ironman.
Wait,
What
a
is
grenade?
that?
A granola bar?
Grenade bar.
Oh, it's an
Right?
Oreo. Let's talk about
Oreo.
That white
this.
Oreo, right?
You
And so, I
saved
mean,
this.
so what do they have in this one? This one is 21 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar, but the calorie count in this, or the numbers, like
So I have a question for you. Is
yeah.
this a snack that you're using for fueling, or is this marketed as a workout?
Yeah, no, this is more, you'll find these like in the gyms and, for people that are doing like heavy sessions and stuff like that, right? That understand I
Okay.
need the proteins, I need the sodiums, I need that. But these are only good for me for probably the first 3 or 4 hours in a race, right?
So,
And then they sit too heavy then in the gut, and they'll just sit there till I'm,
yeah.
next morning, right? So
So is that sorry,
I
you
saw
this
Oreo,
is
so I'm thinking
I
like,
did too.
it's just Oreo flavor, right? White Oreo flavor. So it's got some chocolate on it. It's got but like, again, it's just packing it in. But I mean, if you're just, like say 21 grams of protein and,
is this something you could also give your kids though? It is geared towards as like a race fuel
um,
or like
tend not
something
to
you'd
give
find
them,
in the
they like
grocery
this
store.
one, but they only get like half a bar
Okay.
each, right? So
Okay.
it's pretty minimized. But the BioSteel, yeah, they get same scoops that we do for that. I will be moving to the high concentration BioSteel for race day, and so that could be another whole type episode. But the other one I'll lead everybody off with here shortly too is that 120 grams. There are some science that says it works well. When you're reading this, I think there's been a few social posts and everything out there too. Please know that a lot of what you may be seeing and reading, in this particular case, it even stipulates in the papers that I read, these are elite level athletes that are testing out 120 grams, right? And so they will test differently than we do
Of
on how
carbs.
they it's carbs. Yep. Sorry, I've moved to the carbs.
Yep.
So they're going to process it differently than potentially us based on the systems that they built up. So while yes, we could potentially get up to 120 grams, probably thinking in around the 90, maybe even 100 for most recreational athletes is probably going to be that number we're striving for. But again, practice it from day one and work your way up. The other thing that I'll kind of throw out there too when we're training our gut, for these carbs, think glucose and fructose, right? Don't just stick to one sugar road or highway or whatever you want to call it for delivery. By having both the glucose and the fructose, now we've got two ways that it's going to absorb into the muscles, right? Out of the stomach into the muscles, and that way we're not going to overwork the one system if that's the only type of sugar or carb that we're going to take in. So keep that in mind. What is it? They say on an average that we want to do to avoid that. I had to look the number up. Look for about a 1 to 0.8 to a 1 to 1 ratio is really what the number between that glucose and that fructose. And that way you won't bottleneck up those transporters. And then you're actually, because I know I've had some athletes say, but I'm putting all that in. And it's like, are you one or the other, or are you both? And they're like, oh, I just do, glucose. That could be a reason, right? Again, depending, I don't know. I can't see anybody's particular on that. So think of that. And I want to lead off with the caffeine. What I do with my athletes 2 to 3 hours before a race, right? Or let's say those monster, you're just in the top of your build, or you're at the peak. 2 to 3 hours, 1 cup of coffee, just normal, right? Then about an hour before a race, have another one. And then typically it's about every 4 to 5 hours. And this is kind of the science stuff on it.
Have a coffee?
Of caffeine. Right. So when I say coffee, right, that's going to be basically, what does Folgers have, or, Maxwell House or whatever, what's their caffeine concentration that you have in there? Cause that's a great point. Some people are like, oh, I'm just going to pop a couple of caffeine tabs. Probably not going to be the same outcome of what we have here. And so really because of that half-life of caffeine is, around that 5 to 6 hour mark, depending 4 to 6 hours on most people. I tell everybody it's because I've had athletes come to me and say, okay, I got all the honey stingers, I got all my chews, and they're all caffeinated. And I'm like, and how many you take? And I'm taking like 1 per hour. I'm like, ooh, okay, there's no porta potties out there, just so you know, right? Like, let's rethink that plan. So for me, it's about every 4 to 5 hours. Why caffeine? Okay. For me, again, it's a little bit on the science side. So caffeine is one of the few chemicals or products that will get past the blood-brain barrier, right? And it sits on the I can't remember which receptor it is offhand. I should have wrote it down. But basically, it's that I want to quit. I can't do this. Why am I doing this? This is stupid. I shouldn't be out here, whatever it is. When we go into those dark places, what the caffeine does is it sits on that receptor that's causing your brain to think that and then send that signal to the muscles and say, like, you're getting tired, you're not doing it. I'm going to find a way to shut you down because I want to survive, so to say. So caffeine will sit there and it blocks it, right? It also releases epinephrine, right? And so we know that's going to help us in our endurance and our performance. And endocyne receptor antagonism, right? So again, there's a few things kind of going on here. It will help shed lactate, right? Again, by the endorphins that it can release will help. I think it almost comes back to what we were talking last episode about the bicarb, right? And how I think really the caffeine at that point with the endorphins that's releasing is really just kind of restructuring that a little bit on the lactate. So that's where I go with the caffeine when I'm doing it, and I find it kind of works really, really well, right? Topping off, right? And so what the number that you're looking at, so everybody, again, like, do I pop the caffeine pills? Do I have a cup of coffee? You're looking at about 3 to 6 milligrams per kilogram of body weight is what we would be looking for when I'm talking about a cup 3, a few hours before, cup before, and then every 4 to 5. Those are about the numbers that we look for. And then really that, 550 to 100 milligram limit is kind of where we want to hit as a max. Yeah. Right. And so again, 1 milligram every maybe 2 to 3 hours during the event, 4 to 5 hours, depending what it is. But it really just kind of, it just helps. Right. Endocyne receptors. So that's really that I'm tired signal. I did write it down there. That's the one it's looking for. So that's how I use caffeine really when we're racing as part of it. So when I'm getting those gels, it's just like, okay, which ones am I getting caffeinated? Are they enough? And then how many packs do I need, let's say, per 1 or 2 hours kind of thing. So yeah, I think, yeah. Under an hour? No. Not us. Not on great topics like this. Was there anything either had to add to anything that we've talked about?
No, I'll jump on the caffeine thing and just definitely, if you're used to, for me, I'm like 1 cup a day. That's my routine. That's what I stick with. I'm not going to change that on race day and have 2
Correct. Yep.
because I'm always better. Just stick with what you've been doing in training, and everyone's a little sensitive to it. I'm not a huge fan. Some people will say cut out caffeine a couple days before and then you'll get a better effect on race day. I see the caffeine headache and the withdrawals as more detrimental than to not do that. So that's my only feedback on caffeine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did an interesting discussion on caffeine just the other day during one of our labs, and it's not as bad as, like, it gets a bad rap. And I think it's, when done right. And again, if you want to use that strategy, you need to train with it, right? And just train with it once a week or a couple times a week. I think you'll be fine. I don't think it's much different than any of the other, like, you don't have, 100 grams of carb per hour during non-training hours, but you do it in training hours, so you can still train yourself to be able to handle it. But you're absolutely right. Like, any of the stuff that we've talked about today, it's not something that you go, oh, I'm going into taper week 1, I better start practicing nutrition. It's probably
Yeah.
too late by then, right? And
Because
so
it could
stick with what
also,
you know.
caffeine also raises your heart rate, which can then affect a lot of other things too. So it's one of those things, especially some of my older athletes who are more worried about their either cardio health.
Mhm.
They don't do caffeine because it's like one of those things that's going to level them up, and they don't want that reverse effect. So it's again one of those things of just talk to your doctor, test it out for yourself. But it is a natural stimulant, so and it's safe for sport.
Mhm. Yeah, and most of the products I think that we talked about today too was NSF safe, which is really great. We talked about it in a couple of other episodes. So anything that you're choosing, have a look for that. So, um, yeah, we kind of did the caveat. We're coaches and athletes. We're not registered dietitians, and we're not paid to sponsor any of the products that we talked about on today. But I mean, if you've been in sport any length of time, you kind of know there's a few big players, if you want to call it, out there. I do ask that whatever you do come up with your coach, just remember that the numbers are cumulative, right? So you may have 100 grams here, 600 here, another 100 there, and all the different products you're having. Just try to have, don't just go for one product that's going to be 800 milligrams of sodium and then realize that I'm up at 1,300 because of the sodium that's in all the other products potentially that I'm using, right? I think most of the time we'll be pretty safe, but practice all that. Audit your own hourly carb intake, right? And so the other thing, when we train our guts, it's got to be slow and it's got to be progressive. So have a look, figure it out, come up with a plan, make sure you're ready on race day, but audit your own cupboard. If you're under 60 grams, you're probably leaving some performance on the table. That's just old school now. I think a good one to hit is around that 90 on average. All right. Map out about 10 grams per week. If you want to start increasing, go about 10 grams per week in around that number. If you and train close to home when you're doing it, right? When you start increasing, just making sure trust me, you might laugh now, but you'll appreciate it when you're out there and you're running and you're just going, okay, whatever that jump was is not agreeing with me. I need to be close to home and take care of business. So let us know what you're doing. Let us know what you have in the cupboard. What do you do? My wife Jess, she makes really awesome and about 3 or 4 different varieties of our own protein bars and our own granola bars. Which one last episode said they made their own? Was that you, Ann? You made something of your own, or
You make
My
your own
own,
gels,
no,
electrolyte
hydration
blend.
mix.
hydration? Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So whatever it is, like you're going to find different things that work for you. So, but let us know. Leave some notes in the comments. We still are looking for, or sort of looking to do an analysis, like a run analysis, and then maybe we'll do a bike one after we do the run analysis. But athletes, let us know. Let your coaches know if you'd like to be part of any of that analysis as we put that program together. Otherwise, I'm Coach JW. Train your gut like you train your legs. Fit the training into the chaos, and I'll see you on the trails.
You're amazing.
Fuel well.
That's a wrap for this week on the Endurance Balance. If you enjoyed the conversation, do us a huge favor. Hit that follow or subscribe button on your podcast app right now. It's the best way to support the show. And hey, we want to see your chaos. So come find us on Instagram at The Endurance Balance and drop us a DM. For Coach Alicia and Coach Ann, I'm Coach JW. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the trails.